Thank you. Nice to meet you,
How's
Rohit.
Nice meeting you, Pedro. And hope you had you recovered totally from your unfortunate COVID incident.
Yeah, all good right now.
Yeah,
Fortunately, the symptoms were mild. Yeah, all over. It's all in the past.
that's very nice. So DappRadar is a Lithuanian company, right?
Correct. The startup is based on Lithuania in the city of Kaunas, and it was founded on 2018, if I'm not mistaken, by our CEO Skirmantas Januskas and the CIO Dragotonica. And it started
Right.
actually as a weekend project. They developed the company in 2 days. So yeah.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So you work remotely.
Yeah, totally remotely. I'm based on Barcelona, although I'm from Mexico City. I'm living in Barcelona. So yeah, I mean, COVID accelerated definitely the digitalization of our lives. And one of that is virtually remoting. So fully taking advantage of those.
Fantastic, fantastic. So yeah, Mexico City is one of the, I think, intense and extremely human, I would say, friendly city. I've spent some time in Mexico City, and one of my favorite cities.
Very nice to hear that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, 20 million people living in a concrete jungle. So yeah,
yeah. And when that happens, there's so many activities that happen. Like people create so many different ecosystems. There's so much of human activity. But it's also a very beautiful city. If you go to the downtown and the art scene and the architecture, uh, it's pretty, you know, and also the famous artist I think
Diego Rivera.
Diego
Diego
Rivera, and
Rivera.
also his
Yeah.
wife who was also Frida Kahlo. I think they were like it's an amazing
Uh,
city.
I, I see that you took your history lessons in Mexico culture.
Yeah.
So very nice to see that.
Right. So yeah, and also I realized that we have another thing in common. I realized both of us were in Ernst and Young as well.
Very what, sorry?
We were working in Ernst and Young, ENY.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, EY.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I worked almost 6.5 years for EY. I started as a fraud analyst in the sort of compliance side of things, and eventually migrated to banking and started to focusing on this digitalization and digital transformation programs and so on. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, Pedro. So I was just wondering, how was your time in EY? Because the EY way of doing things and I guess the startup way of doing things are totally two different cultures, the two parallel cultures.
Yeah, totally two different worlds. However, I'm not going to tell you anything. You know that from my personal perspective, working for a big four, working for EY is one of the perfect things that you need to do in life. It's the perfect school. It taught me so many things. I started, yeah, as a fraud analyst, and after 1.5 years, I had the opportunity to work for an area that was New York based, right? So it was we were opening the financial services office in Mexico City. So we had great exposure there. It was amazing, a lot of experiences. And as I said, working for EY, what I took personally most is like the discipline that you got. You need to be quality. You have to make everything every day counts. Every day is different for a consultant, and you need to put a lot of effort. And the product that you deliver to the client, to the final client, needs to be a quality. So basically, you learn to do quality in all the things that you do. You learn to be disciplined, and you learn to open your eyes to what anything that are happening in the world, basically.
So then how did the DappRadar opportunity came, and why did you decided that EY is not your thing and you wanted to move on to something more exciting?
Yeah, so after 4 years of working in the financial services office, I started to being involved in cryptocurrencies in 2017. I lived with one friend that was mining a crypto at that time, and I was very interested. I started to invest a bit in Ethereum, in Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. I think Ripple at that time. And then in February 2018, we saw the big gain. So I was like, "Ooh, I need to be involved more in this industry." Then we start to learn about blockchain, which is basically the technology that drives all cryptocurrencies and all dApps, right? So as I started to learn more about blockchain, I started to get more and more in love with the idea and with the concept, a novel technology for me at that time. So I started researching a bit more, and at that time also I wanted to do a master's as an education. So I pursue a master's in the UK. So I went to the University of Stirling to do a master's in fintech in 2018. Um, an amazing opportunity. I learned a lot from Andrea Bracchiali, who is the director of the program. He is very close to Silvio Micali, who is running Algorand, of course, and a lot of experiences of this type. Also got to meet like people, developers from the sandbox, which of course is a very important game right now, blockchain based in. So I started to focus more on the blockchain side of things. Unfortunately, then came the pandemic, so it delayed a bit things for me. But finally, on the summer of 2020, I got an intern opportunity as a technical writer, as a blockchain technical writer for a company that it's named Viable Systems, which they basically focus on building blockchain-based products for the Tesos blockchain, Polkadot, and staking platforms, let's say. So I started there, and then on June 2021, last year, I finally got the opportunity at DappRadar, and yeah, I cannot be more happy to be involved with the team. It's an amazing team. I think things are looking good for DappRadar, and yeah, happy to be involved in the industry, and happy so how things unfolded in the end.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the content side of things, that's how even Vitalik Buterin got a start, right? He started writing for Bitcoin magazine, and he started writing some amazing articles, and that's how
Yeah.
He got a start in the industry and public recognition.
Okay, nice.
So I think that if you get a great start in something that deals with knowledge, and your idea is to present the knowledge, now you are yourself the biggest beneficiary, because you get to see the entire ecosystem. And that is, the area is I think one of the most exciting things which are going to happen, now, between now and next 10 years. And you have the center view of that. You're going to see on week to week basis who is doing what and what exciting ideas which are happening.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are a lot of drawbacks, right? Because there is no sugarcoating. Like, of course, there is the risk first. Like, it's a very, very volatile asset, right? And of course, there's a lot of challenges that are presented, like the resistance from the traditional industry. Is Bitcoin bad for the environment? Is Bitcoin used for money laundering? So these are the type of challenges that we are presented within this industry, but it's our job to educate people and teach them how this is not entirely true. Of course, there's going to be people that use them wrongfully, but that's the lesser extent. There's so impressive use cases for this technology that we're just getting started.
Right. So essentially, the reason why we wanted to have this interview and specifically seek your expertise and guidance is essentially how to write some great content, and how can we tell the youngsters to be inspired and write articles the way you wrote, or like the DappRadar's report. And so my first question to you is, how do you find writing a report as an analyst in Ernst & Young different than writing a report for DappRadar, or industry reports, or different kind of articles that you do for DappRadar?
Yeah, as the daily work is different, writing let's say a document for a bank, which was one of my jobs, right? I probably got a lot of experience writing because I needed to be very polite and clean, like writing these reports in a detailed way. But you see, the way that traditional industry wants to see those reports are very different from what we are trying to do and achieve in the blockchain industry in the DappRadar reports. So basically, the main difference I see is the level of detail and the message that you want to send the audience. Because in the traditional industry, you don't need to be, let's say, you don't have the need to present the message in 5 pages. Whereas right now, we are presented with a challenge of, okay, I need my reader to understand what I'm trying to say in 2 minutes, because let's be honest, people doesn't want to read, doesn't like to read. So you need to be very concise and very straight to the point and try to send a message as clear as possible in the less time as possible. And yeah, I mean, there's of course a lot of room for improvement. We still need to do a better job in trying to get our visuals enhanced, for instance, like trying to send a message with one simple picture. That's where we're trying to head. But I would say, yeah, the main difference is the level of detail that is required and how the impact message should be visible from the beginning in the content that we're currently working on.
So do you think the 2021 Dapp Industry Report that you did was one of your best writings, I would say, or you think till now, or you think you have done better writing for the Dapp industry before that?
You mean the yearly report, right?
Yeah, the year, and specifically 2021 report, because 2021 was the first year when you could say Dapp came mainstream in a way, you know, and
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it's my best piece, because I've enjoyed writing a couple of pieces. We do monthly collaborations with Defiance, which is run by Camilla Russo. So those pieces, I really enjoyed working on them, and I think they're good. But I can say that the yearly report was quite challenging to put together. I mean, trying to, again, send a message of what happened in the whole year in, I don't know, like 30 pages is quite challenging. I think we did a great job. Of course, I was not alone at BIO doing this. We had a lot of support from our content team, our design team, and of course, our data and analytics team as well. So it was quite challenging, I would say. We spent like 2 to 3 weeks working on it. So yeah, it felt good when the finished product was available. And yeah, I think we did a good job overall.
So what was the team? So I think we should also acknowledge the team that worked with you. So how much, like, what was the team size that worked on that report, and when you started planning for this report, and how did you organize the different aspects of report writing?
So we have, of course, I'm part of the research team, right? The research and analytics team. So we have a couple of extra analysts that help with the data conciliation, data retrieving, data analytics. Basically, they are in charge of pulling data together and seeing that our data is accurate from what we are reporting to what we are showing in our website. So that's one part. Also, we have a content team. We have a couple of very experienced editorial writings. We have also the public relations team that Mia is doing a fantastic job of getting us visible to the public. And then we also have the design team. So, and of course, my head of research, who is Moresta, who always have a fantastic feedback and always brings very clever ideas to my work. So, I mean, in total, around 10 people were working and planning it. I mean, we had it in our roadmap. We already know that each month we launch an industry report. Well, one focus on the industry overall and one focusing on blockchain games. So those are the 2 reports that I already know that I'm going to be publishing each month. And on December, we do the yearly report. And actually, we plan 2 weeks in advance, like nothing else we're going to be focused on unless anything spectacular happens. But for 2 weeks, we're solely dedicating our time to the report. So that's the way it works.
Right, and so for the 2 week of the work that you did, who did the actual content writing? Who did put the actual English words in the whole report?
Yeah, that was me. That was me. I mean, I write the content, then we start to get. Well, I start to get feedback from the senior content writers and my head of research, and then we start aligning the comments and the inputs and pulling the pieces out together to get the narrative as clean and understandable as possible.
And how about the graphics? So you have the text content writing, and then you also have the graphics part of it, like the images and the pictures. So how you do that yourself?
No, we have a person that solely dedicates on visuals. Actually, she's from India as well, so she's an important part of our team. And yeah, she's in charge of creating the visuals. And I think we are also getting better and better with visuals on each report. So we're getting a lot of help from her. And the design team also helped a lot with this one. A person dedicated from the design team to work on these visuals. That was the situation on the yearly report as well.
Right. And so when you start like working, so the first thing is obviously the data. Like you have to plan what you want to cover in the entire layout, and so how do you figure out like and your we are focusing 2021 industry report because that's one place where all the people interested in content writing and especially Dapp reporting. They could know how to write a world-class report, So I was just wondering, how do you find out, like, how do you plan out that what kind of, like, so many different sectors are there and so many different statistics are there. So how do you plan? Because you do a lot of research also. So how do you structure it? Like how you're going to break down your article in different parts and games or high risk or BSC or Ethereum, whatever, How do you do the data management part of it initially?
So, well, first you need to select the topic, right? And to select the topic, I mean, as I said, we have like 3 or 4 reports that we know for sure that we're launching each month, like the Dapp Industry Overview, like how are the things going in the DeFi, how are things going in NFTs, how are things going in the blockchain news. Then we also focus on a specific blockchain gaming report. And then we have different topics to play. Like, for example, we're launching a whales report. We do a report focused on the whale behavior, right? On the pattern that are shown by these big wallets that are called whales. So 2 weeks ago, we saw an Ethereum marketplace launch, which is called LuxRare. And we tried to ride a wave of hype, right? So LuxRare is talked a lot. There's an artificial trading happening inside this marketplace to incentivize trading. So we try to take advantage of those hypes. So once we see that, okay, this topic might drive us a lot of traffic because it's being talked a lot about, it's being discussed a lot. So let's write the report about it. And once we selected the topic, what I try to do is have a top to bottom approach. I always try to give the reader a message of what's happening from a holistic view, like what's happening in the industry. How do we get here? Like, for example, if we're talking about NFTs, a topic that it's already interesting is how are NFTs resistant to the latest dips in the crypto market. So trying to give the context to the reader. Okay, so we're on a crypto crash market. The crypto market is the cryptocurrency market is crashing because there are a lot of external factors happening. Like we have the the FED in the United States trying to raise the interest rate. We have a lot of issues in Kazakhstan. We have the Ukraine conflicts also. So trying to give the reader a context, and then drilling down to the topics that we're trying to dissect. So I would say top-bottom approach is the way that we're trying to do things here.
Right, right. And personally, like, what are the data sources that you use? Because there's a lot of information that you have to get. So obviously, one of them is DappRadar itself, because DappRadar itself publishes a lot of data on the activity in the Dapp sector. But what are the other data sources that you have to refer to be able to get the complete picture?
Yeah, to be very honest, I mean, 90% or 95% of the data that I use, it comes from DappRadar. I mean, we are focused on building a product which is a data-driven product and trying to give people and the world like a visible picture of what's happening in the industry. And to be fair, we are tracking the most interesting and the most important KPIs. But of course, there are little gaps that we need to fill, and they come from other sources. So one of the pages that I really like is Dune Analytics. I mean, Dune Analytics, you are able to create your own dashboards. You're able to query your own data. So it comes very much in handy. And when we talk about another off-chain activity like the reserves of Bitcoin or the reserves of Ethereum on exchanges, we use external sources. One is Messari, for example, and to conciliate our, let's say, our data with other sources, because it's also important to say that we are sending the accurate message and the accurate data. We also use, for example, in DeFi, we use another sources like DeFi Llama, for instance, to check that, to validate that we are on the same page, let's say. But I mean, 95% of the data, you will find it on DappRadar. There's no need to go anywhere else for most of the reports, to be very honest.
Right, right. So you said that you also collaborated on a report with Camilla Russo, right?
Yeah. We launched a monthly collaboration with the Defiants on different topics. These are not as heavy data-driven as the report that we launched on DappRadar. These are, let's say, more cultural approach to why. The first one that I wrote was, why are NFTs not a bubble? And we selected, basically, I detail and I explain the factors that make NFT collectibles, explain why are they not a bubble, why they are a very important use case, and not only for the rush of collectibles that we are seeing, but for blockchain games. We are going to see a lot of music artists, how the NFTs are becoming a layer of royalties to really reward the artists and avoid black markets. So that's also going to happen in tickets, where you go to the stadium and present a QR code that it's really an NFT for your ticket. And there's a lot of utilities behind. We're also going to see how big fashion brands like Gucci, Burberry, Dolce & Gabbana, Louis Vuitton are going to get more and more involved within the space. And the form that they're going to be involved is via NFTs. And another one that I wrote that I really enjoyed writing is about the metaverse. And this brings me back to the topic, how to select the topic. When the rebranding of Meta was announced, the hype was very big around this narrative. So we selected this topic. And it was very, very fun writing about the metaverse, the blockchain-based metaverse, how it's different from the centralized one that probably Meta is thinking about. And yeah, what are the big advantages of the blockchain-based metaverse? How NFTs also provide ownership, real ownership to the NFT holders, and how it's probably going to create even a new economy, right? People are going to search jobs in the future inside a metaverse, so it's going to be interesting.
Yes. So this collaboration was officially an alliance between DappRadar and Defiance.
Yeah, I mean, we work also with the Blockchain Game Alliance. We send out a monthly report in collaboration with them. We have the Defiance, and yeah, we also do some sponsored content from Binance and all other chains that ask us to do some sponsored articles.
So, how do you find time to keep yourself entertained, and what are your hobbies? Because people are just interested to know as to how you keep yourself refreshed, because yours is an intellectually heavy job.
I mean, it's challenging. The biggest advantage that people that we are involved in the crypto space, I think we have, is that, for example, I wake up and I see how the crypto market is going, right? And right now I'm doing my job. I mean, because I need to be, let's say, immersed in what's happening. So, I mean, it's easy to spend time diving into NFTs, researching about the projects I like, researching about the crypto market overall. So it's an advantage. It's one of my hobbies, actually, investing in cryptocurrencies. But otherwise, I mean, I'm a big sports fan. I do really love sports. Actually, I started writing small columns for my college newspaper about the NFL, which is very important in America. And yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of football. I'm a food lover. And I would say those three things are my passions: food, sports, and crypto.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, awesome. And so your college is the University of Sterling that you said, right? The college
Yeah.
football. Okay, right. And how about, I mean, are you also involved in do you have any connections from your Mexican background, like in your Mexico City, where you are telling kids or you're telling friends, get involved, this is an exciting area, and you have... Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Since a couple of months ago, I've been receiving like 1 or 2 weeks, 2 calls per week from old colleagues and friends in Mexico and other parts of the world. Please explain me what blockchain is about. Please explain me what NFTs. Why is people buying these bored apes for millions? Like what's behind? And it's very, very gratifying and humbling to be part and be able to explain your friends and colleagues about it. And I mean, one of the parts that I want to highlight is the community. The Web3 community is amazing. I mean, there is a feeling of bonding, and a feeling of I want to see my colleague succeed, because if the project that is building next to me, the future of blockchain and Dapps, if he succeeds, we have another a good opportunity of succeeding. So I think this is one of the most beautiful, I would say, things about the crypto community. Of course, it has a lot of wrongful actors, but on the bigger part, there is this feeling of bonding and support with each another.
So do you see crypto going up in Mexico as well?
Yeah, I mean, I talked like 3 months ago with Avocado Blockchain, which is a Mexican startup company. They're trying to educate people and trying to create a hub of blockchain students and trying to send them outside. The crypto and blockchain adoption, from my perspective, is imminent. We are seeing, and we're seeing stories like the Axie Infinity in the Philippines and in emerging economies like Venezuela or Thailand, where people earn more money playing a blockchain game than what they would be earning in a traditional company. So those are the kind of stories that are really rewarding, and I totally see crypto adoption growing. India, for instance, is a country that we are expecting that the interest will grow a lot in 2022. Of course, Polygon Labs is India based. They have a big community there. They're recent, I think in October or November, Bollywood celebrities announced the creation of an NFT marketplace. Then we have the success of NBA Top Shot, and we have the potential of the Indian Cricket League. So India, it's another country that we're expecting, but of course, Latin America, it's a region that also is expecting to have a big adoption. I mean, El Salvador already has adopted Bitcoin as its legal tender. So definitely we're going to see a lot of adoption coming from this type of economies in the 2022 and 23.
Right, and also El Salvador is just next, like it's just couple of is the same, you could say, cultural zone as Mexico is,
Yeah,
and so it will be, they'll watch very closely what's going to happen in El Salvador.
yeah.
And
I
I think,
mean, yeah. I mean, roughly speaking, Mexico is too big of a country to do an experiment like what El Salvador is doing. But on the other hand, it's very interesting. I really like the mindset of the president there. I truly believe that he can achieve interesting things with the adoption of cryptocurrencies. Not saying that adopting Bitcoin as your legal tender is the right thing to do, but adopting cryptocurrencies will be definitely interesting, and especially in a population that has a high percentage of unbanked people. It's going to be a very, very interesting experiment, and one that has a lot of potential to be applied in Africa, for example. So let's see how things play out.
so you have been tracking NFT for all of us in the world, and you're giving us some amazing reports on NFT. How about, do you have any of your content as NFT?
No, 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 but that's an interesting idea. I've seen a lot of ideas floating around this concept for a while. I know a person here in Spain from the Basque country that he is trying to, well, he writes also and he publishes books. So his books are going to be published as NFTs. And again, we go back to the music use case where the royalties are really rewarded to the artists. Here, the NFT books as NFTs will work in the same manner. So definitely an interesting use case. But no, I haven't experienced that.
Right. So coming back to the collaboration side of it, so there were content collaboration based blockchain like Steemit, right? And so what, I don't know, have you tracked Steemit or not? But why do you think that content based blockchains, they are kind of not experiencing the kind of growth that, let's say, NFT sector is experiencing? Do you have any idea in terms of content writing and content collaboration, the blockchain initiatives that are going, which you find exciting and which you like to track in terms of content writing?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. I mean, I could say the main difference between what we are seeing in NFTs and probably the slow start of content as NFTs is because NFTs as JPEGs, what as collectibles, they really bring you a very tangible and immediate utility, right? The projects that are being created, they're becoming brands. What we see with Bored Apes and Yuga Labs, they already a brand, a strong brand in Web3. Same goes to Artifact, Larva Labs, another example. So I think NFTs as collectibles or as blockchain playable items, the owner truly feels the sense of utility immediately. And that's why some projects are doing well and some projects are basically crashing down as well. So that's what we are going to see in 5 years when we turn our heads back. We see, oh, why this project survived these 5 years, because they are able to transmit and reward owners with utilities. Probably that's the thing that might be happening. Why the slow start of content? I don't know. I truly not familiar with this industry about content, blockchain-based content, but I would say that. And also probably when a bigger organization like a university or newspaper starts doing that, maybe we can see an uptick in the adoption. But until then, probably we will have to wait, or I don't know if there is any other interesting idea, a blend where you can, I don't know, maybe if you can stake your books and start earning passive incomes, maybe we can see it different, but I'm not aware that that's already done. So.
Right. But now see, if you look at the promises of blockchain, that as people can work from anywhere and they could, without even revealing the identity, they could contribute and they can earn just not directly, but also from the valuations on the assets they create. Do you, but like say you work in a blockchain based focused company that reports on all the blockchain activities and the Dapp activities, but your organization is also a very traditionally organized organization, which is like there's a CEO, probably there's a management, there are people who are working, people are paid salary
Yeah,
regularly. Yeah. So do you think blockchain is going to change the nature of organization itself? Like, could we see DappRadar being based on blockchain itself? And
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we can have the example of DappRadar. I mean, DappRadar has just launched its Radar token, right? Like 2 months ago on 14th of December, if I'm not mistaken. And the objective of DappRadar is to become a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which is probably one of the most interesting concepts in the industry. And with this, you really empower people to make their own decisions by governance votes, by holding amounts of your underlying token. So giving community power to decide, it's going to be very, very interesting and very powerful for the industry. I mean, taking the example of content writing again, if if there is a DAO that works on content writing, you can basically give the users or your readers the choice to select the next topic that you're going to talk about with governance voting. So these type of structures and these type of ideas are going to make these organizations very interesting and very attractive, especially for digitally native people. Generation Z and millennials are the foundation of the industry and are quite involved. So I think giving them the chance to decide, it's going to be very interesting and very attractive for those type of segments.
Sure. And so far as so we'll talk about the radar token as well. I think it'll be an interesting thing to talk about. But before we go there, when you work for DappRadar, are you allowed to do freelance writing as well? Like if you want to write for some blogs or somewhere else, is that permitted or not permitted as per your job contract?
I mean, I have another job. As I said, I started writing as a technical writer for viable systems, focusing on the Tesla blockchain. So yeah, I mean, on my free time, I can do whatever I want. So
right.
If that doesn't interfere with my workload, and of course I'm not cannibalizing my own job. Like I'm not going to publish on my own the article that I'm working for DappRadar, right? So if they are two separate topics, very independent ones, I don't think there should be any kind of trouble.
From out here, that's fantastic. That's truly the startup spirit. Right. So now let's coming back to the radar token. So is the radar token like which blockchain has it been issued on, and do employees have got some tokens as well? Like what's the mechanism of the token?
Yeah. So the radar token was purely launched as a governance token of DappRadar, and it has a lot of advantages. For example, right now the reports are being locked for 48 hours. So if you got 5,000 of DappRadar tokens, you're considered a pro user. So these pro users are able to see our reports freshly launched. And also, of course, you have the voting governance, right, which we're already launching a couple of initiatives on the future of the organization. So that's quite interesting as well. And the token was issued as an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain. Although I'm not sure if you can bridge it to Binance. I'm not completely sure about it, but issued as an ERC on Ethereum, that's definitely for sure.
Right. And so you have yourself covered, one of the trends that you covered was how Binance Smart Chain is now challenging Ethereum and all L2 based blockchains on Ethereum just because of the ecosystem that it has built, the exchange ecosystem it has built. And so how do you think this playing out? How do you think between or from an industry perspective, Ethereum, which is now where the capacities are now limited in the core Ethereum chain, and but it has L2 chains coming, augmenting the capacity. And when you have the Binance Smart Chain, which can go directly in L1 and then can do essentially the same contracts with slight modification. So looking at all the trends and data, where do you think between Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain, as of now, what do you think the future is going to look like? Or do you think that they are both unsettled technology right now and the future is from another blockchain, which is yet to emerge?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the industry at the start of 2021, basically 1 year ago, the dominance of Ethereum was quite clear. I mean, in terms of DeFi, it held like around 90% of the industry's total value locked. And what we saw with Binance, it's very encouraging signs for the industry, as it's showing signs of maturity, but most importantly, a healthy competition, right? Ethereum basically stopped being the dominant blockchain where you need to use it as the only option. Of course, we are very aware of the issues that Ethereum has about the scalability and, of course, the high prices of gas fees. So having L1 alternatives like the Binance Smart Chain is healthy for the industry. As far as how I see it faring in 2022 and moving forward, I mean, Binance is already the second largest blockchain in terms of DeFi. It has very successful Dapps. It has PancakeSwap, which besides Axie Infinity is the most used decentralized application in the entire industry, right? Around 1 million unique active wallets use the PancakeSwap daily. So it has a very, very successful product, and it has a good DeFi ecosystem overall. But most importantly for Binance, it's the adoption it's having on its blockchain games. We saw the rise and fall of crypto blades. We saw the rise and fall of CryptoBay. But one game that has remained consistent is Mobox, which is the prime example of GameFi, right? Which is the gamification of DeFi, basically doing DeFi a bit more funnier, because DeFi it's like the boring brother of blockchain, and people only wants to be involved in games and NFTs, but trying to merge these two big categories, games and DeFi, has bring a lot of successful to several Dapps. One is Mobox, that it's already a consolidated GameFi player, but also it's interesting to see how Binance has adopted blockchain from other, games from other blockchain. Alien Worlds, which is a wax-based game, launched missions on Binance last year, and again increasing the usage, increasing the visibility of the chain. And I mean, it's going to remain a good, important player of the industry. And also, it lays the foundation for other blockchains to follow. I mean, we see Solana, we see Avalanche, Terra, and all of these layer one solutions that are becoming also very visible and important players in the industry overall. So we're not just talking about the BSC and Ethereum, but we are also talking about Polygon. We're talking about Solana, Terra, Avalanche, and many other chains that are coming, like Ronin. It's a monster. I mean, the sidechain that sustains Axie Infinity is a monster with its own decentralized chain, which Katana, with its own token that is going to be launched in the upcoming month. And I mean, we're a very, very entertaining time to be around this space.
You said that's Ronnie, the one that you're excited about, that you're speaking the last.
Yeah, Ronin, Ethereum sidechain, where Axie Infinity. Yeah.
Right. It's Ethereum sidechain, yeah. So the other thing is, if you look at, you mentioned PancakeSwap. Now, like PancakeSwap was obviously the first idea emerged in Ethereum itself as Uniswap. and then PancakeSwap bought it onto its own user base. But we were looking at the DappRadar data. Like our team uses DappRadar data to also compile the list of the top Dapps in different categories. And they were reporting that PancakeSwap has kind of settled at around 1.6 million users, active users per week for last 6 months. And that number is not, it's only fluctuating from 1.2 to 1.6 million users per week. And for a sector that should be growing rapidly, it just seems that we are reaching an upper limit of the population of the people who could basically get on the blockchain itself. Do you think all the wallets and MetaMask and everything is too complicated for your mom and your dad and your friends? Is the technology too hard right now for them to get into that?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the biggest challenge of the industry: how to onboard people. I tried to explain the metaverse to my family on Christmas, and it was it was fun. So yeah, I mean, there's this challenge. I mean, creating a wallet. I mean, it's not creating a wallet and following the steps. It's the abstract concept of blockchain itself, how a cryptocurrency has keep its value, and on this general ledger that it's available to the public and it's immutable. So, okay, first let's try to understand that, and then secondly, let's try to explain and make it easy. But yeah, definitely there's a challenge, and not sure if that's going to be a wall that we hit, because as I said earlier, the dominant population that we are seeing in the industry are millennials and Generation Z, which are more familiar with digital technologies, right? However, there is a gap with other generations that the challenge is present. We're trying to do things as friendly as possible to try to onboard as much users, but yeah, we will face this issue time and time again. And actually, to be fair, MetaMask is one of the friendlier wallets to use. It's not, it has its operational drawbacks, but using it is not as complicated as, for example, the Avalanche wallet, which you need to switch first your currencies from internal wallets, from C to S, and so on. So yeah, there's that challenge that it's present and it's not going away anytime soon. So.
Right. But also, if you look at the industry as a whole, I mean, as we will see that more and more blockchains will emerge and more apps will emerge on those blockchains. So obviously, people would be facing a scenario where their phones will be, let's say, if someone is a crypto intensive user, there's a limitation in terms of how many wallets he can handle, right? So we have the fundamental challenge in terms of we don't have a universal wallet that can connect to everything and where people feel safe about while keeping the keys with themselves.
No, we don't want a universal. I don't want a universal wallet. I don't want to hold all my assets in one place. That's a huge risk.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting. Yeah, definitely. One thing that I'm expecting to be important is we saw in the 2012 how M-Pesa, an African bank, targeted the unbanked population of Kenya and had a lot of success. I think there's a potential in Southeast nation like the Philippines, in other countries like Venezuela, where mobile wallets, right, embedded to our life in an ubiquitous way through our smartphones, are going to change the way we drastically do anything. Like instead of going to the shop, if there is a full accessibility to the blockchain, it's going to be very important, and I think there's potential to do that. But I don't want to step into the future already.
Right. Yeah, I think M-Pesa, like, you know, when M-Pesa started, I was in Kenya for my previous startup, you know, and obviously Vodafone was one of the service providers, and Kenyan Telecom, the other telecom provider, later Airtel came in, and they were all Safaricom. Yeah, Safaricom was the company that was launching it, and because they didn't have the landline infrastructure, they went directly to the mobile infrastructure. But if someone has already done M-Pesa, then it will be easier for him to understand whole concept of wallet, as well as how to do money transfer using wallets, because that's not a new thing for them. They've already lived in that world.
Yeah, exactly. They just need to be onboarded on the blockchain sense. Like, please be custodial of your assets and secure your seed phrase and so on. So yeah.
Right. And the other thing which probably you could throw also some light is, are you aware of how much remittance is happening in El Salvador because of the initiative that they have taken? Do you think that you have any information? Do you have any trends on that?
No. Fortunately not. Right. I mean, the time is so pressure right now with so many reports coming, and I'm focused almost on on-chain data, which means data coming from the blockchain itself.
Right.
So, and this is where the DappRadar focuses, right? So I haven't read and I'm not aware of those numbers for now.
Right. So DappRadar itself calculates all the information directly from the data itself from the blockchain, like the app activities and the monthly active users activity, all of that.
Yeah. We communicate to the nodes on each blockchain, right? On each protocol. For example, we communicate to Uniswap nodes. We communicate to OpenSea nodes, and from there, our amazing backend team constructs our tables, and then we are able to retrieve the data in a readable and understandable manner, and then the magic happens.
Right. That's pretty fantastic. So what are the other, so you mentioned, what are the other trends? You said GameFi is a very interesting trend which you already see, and you mentioned NFTs. So what are the exciting things which you think is going to happen or may happen either in 2022 or 2023? The sectors that you think would go, just like there was a time when ICOs happened, they were very much hot, and then and then of course NFTs came, and before that you had scalable blockchains like scalability was all the likes of Solana. So what do you think would be the next exciting things, or do you think that the existing things which are already exciting, they need to penetrate deeper and they need to improve the game?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that would be fantastic if that happens are crypto-based ETFs. I think they can boost the DeFi space a lot. But the trends that's like that I'm not very, let's say, relying on that to happen. But what I'm most certainly that can happen is the adoption of NFTs in other use cases. I'm certain that the music NFTs in this year are going to be big because of the use and the conversion with the metaverse also. I mean, Marshmallow and the Chainsmokers and these DJs that are pretty involved in the space, they are looking already to innovate and see ways of embedding music to NFTs. Gary Vaynerchuk, a very renowned NFT influencer, has partnered with Budweiser and other artists, like they're not very popular, but they're launching a series of NFTs. So I think music and the immersive of music in NFTs, it's going to be an important thing that it's going to happen in 2022. And the other thing that it's big, that it's undeniable, and it's happening already, is how blockchain-based games are continuously developing. On blockchains like Solana, we see Star Atlas, which is one of the most hyped projects. Of course, this is a AAA project, and people need to understand that developing a game takes a lot of time, and especially if you're using a heavy graphic engine like the one that they are using. They are using the Unreal Engine, which is using PS5 games. So the game is not expected to be fully playable this year or next year, but they are going to release small playable missions for people to be familiar. There are also very interesting things happening on Immutable X, layer 2 solution of Ethereum. Ember Sword and virtual worlds are going to be big. We're already seeing it with Webland. and the interoperability that allows people to use basically any avatar on the virtual world. So blockchain games are going to be big. And the final thing that I'm looking forward on the upcoming years is actually the interoperability between platforms. Right now, it's difficult and it's a challenge. And platforms are already considering this and are already working. For example, the sandbox is another virtual world that it's going to be very important this year. They're already tackling the issues of how as much NFT avatars can be used in our world to improve the user and playing experience. It's going to be interesting to see how projects tackle this interoperability challenge that is still present in the industry today.
Right. So now we have like about 5 or 6 more minutes left. So we'll go to some of your articles and that you have written, and probably you could tell us some of the experiences that stands out, like something that you still remember about doing that article. So the first one I would say is the how to value Bored Apes Yacht Club NFTs. What was when you were doing that article, what was the big experience that you still carry?
Yeah, I mean, the big experience was kicking myself for not buying one when it was 3 ETH, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah. Besides of that, I mean, probably I could not go with it. Well, with this, I mean, you learn a lot about each project. But on the other hand, I have been receiving some messages from teams. I remember I did a review of what project was it? Blood, probably, where certain NFT influencers were involved. So I analyzed the NFT project from different perspectives, and I got message from the team like, okay, we really like what you did. Thank you so much for it. It's a very objective overview of the team and the project overall. So those kind of messages, when people get in touch with you and you see that people really value your effort and the work that you're doing, it's very gratifying. So yeah, getting exposure, it's also very, very good, very nice to see. I mean, got a message also from an NBA player when I talk about it was the Doodles collection. This NBA player is a holder, and we exchanged a couple of messages. So it's very gratifying. I mean, I would never thought of that 1 year ago. So yeah, I mean, I can say the industry changed my life for good.
Wow. Okay. The next report that so you also do blockchain value flow report.
Yeah.
So what are the experiences that stands out doing that report?
Oh my God, the experience of that, it's very challenging to try to identify where the money is going. As I said, we focus on DappRadar on on-chain metrics, and to do value flow report, you need to use a lot of off-chain metrics because you need to monitor what are the volumes or reserves on exchanges of a certain asset. So my experience on that is that the industry is quite big. It already has a 1.8, around 1.8 trillion market cap. But the most fascinating thing is that more money is flowing into it each and every day. And when you compare to other assets like gold, we're far away from the market cap of gold has. I mean, we are not even reached the market cap of Apple, a single company. So the potential and room to grow for the industry is quite big. And I learn and like to compare, okay, how the blockchain industry is doing with traditional industry. And this is what I get. I mean, there's a lot of potential.
Fantastic. And how about the whale analysis report? Like, how do you find out who is the whale and how do you analyze them?
Yeah, again, DappRadar, fantastic tools. We have, we have different features. We have a token swap feature where you can basically swap your tokens. But one of the features that I enjoy the most about DappRadar is the portfolio tracker. So with the portfolio tracker, basically you enter a wallet address and you're able to see all the tokens, NFTs, and the DeFi pools, even liquidity pools that a certain wallet has and is involved with. So first we analyze the top holders of a certain coin or token, which in NFTs can be also done on Ethereum NFTs. So we try to analyze, okay, this collection is slightly concentrated, so the potential risk of market manipulation is higher where compared to a collection with a highly diluted holders ratio, where there is no such risk. So whales report are fun to do, but are also challenging, and identifying those whales is not easy most of times.
Right. So we are back down to our last 2 minutes. So you shifted from Mexico to Spain. Did you had any cultural issues shifting back?
No, absolutely not. I mean, my shift was first to the UK, and the people in Scotland are amazing. I really enjoyed being and living there. The only problem for me was the food. I really miss the food. But here in Spain, I mean, the food is fantastic. Weather is fantastic. People are nice. So I cannot be. Yeah, I'm happy. I can say I'm happy.
But you already had the English, the fluency in English when you were in Mexico itself.
Yeah, I mean, in Mexico, of course, because of the vicinity with the United States, it is common that private schools teach you half of the lessons in English. So since I was 5 years old, I started talking English and working with English. So
that's a big advantage, because not many people speak. I mean, they understand, but they don't speak English like on a day-to-day basis on the buses, on the metros. The subways. You don't find people speaking English. Everyone speaks. The culture is all Spanish. So
yeah, I mean, understanding it is one thing, and it's already an advantage. But being able to communicate properly, it's
properly. Okay. So how about your family? Are you have family here, or you're just
I mean, I live with my girlfriend here in Barcelona. Actually, she's here from Catalonia, so she basically convinced me with beaches and foods to come here and live. But no, my family, part of my family is in Mexico and part of my family is in the United States. So yeah, still a big journey to visit them.
Right. And Barcelona is a exciting metropolitan place. A lot of exciting things happening there. Beaches are close by. It's a great cultural hotspot. Yeah,
definitely. And what I am seeing is that it's becoming one of the hotspots for crypto community. There is ongoing events on Ethereum Barcelona is trying to become an event that drives people from all over the places, probably happening this year. And there are a lot of communities where we meet up like once monthly and discuss different topics.
Right. So we are done with our 1 hour time that we had with you. It was really fantastic talking to you, learning from you, sharing your experiences. And we definitely going to look forward for more and more exciting reports coming out of you and anything else that you do in the crypto world, because now we are all connected and now we are tracking you, so as to speak. I'm looking forward for the next round of such interaction in future when you come up with some new ideas.
Sure.
And I would look forward for many more of such interactions.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed it, and thank you for having me. It was very nice.
Thank you so much, Pedro, and it was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Take care.